Mention Feng Shui, and a very specific set of images usually comes to mind. Hanging a ribbon over a doorway, placing a flute on a beam, or angling a mirror against spirits. This illustrates the core of the Black Hat sect method. It divides any floor plan into a rigid 9-square grid, dictating that a specific sector, like the top left area labeled Tai Lok or Wealth, is permanently tied to your front door's orientation. If you apply that rule across the globe, it implies that billions of entirely unique homes all share the exact same energetic map, and that a single plant in the back corner can fix a person's finances. This specific, universal approach isn't ancient. It was developed and commercialized in the 1970s as an easily digestible version of a highly complex practice. While these quick-fix practices are incredibly popular, they represent a static view of architecture. They strip away the rigorous, mathematical complexity that defined the original system. Far away from the world of crystals and chimes, organizations like Disneyland Hong Kong, the MGM Grand, and developers of major skyscrapers routinely employ high-level feng shui consultants during their design phases. Corporate decisions on this scale are driven by data and environmental strategy. These entities invest in consultants to ensure the surrounding landscape supports the building's specific commercial goals. They are utilizing classical feng shui. In this context, the practice operates as an intricate system of environmental analysis aimed at maximizing organizational efficiency, smooth foot traffic, and physical comfort. For these developers, classical feng shui functions as a pragmatic, high-stakes design tool. It calculates exactly how a building interacts with its immediate surroundings to ensure long-term viability. To understand how this works at a structural level, you have to abandon the idea of a universal wealth corner. True environmental analysis relies entirely on absolute magnetic degrees. This is a traditional luopan. It is a highly sophisticated ancient compass engineered specifically to capture the Earth's magnetic orientation. The density of these concentric rings allows a consultant to pull a massive amount of geographic data from a single location. Practitioners use this instrument to establish a building's facing and sitting directions. They measure exactly how a structure aligns against the Earth's magnetic poles, down to a fraction of a degree. A shift of just 2 or 3 degrees on this compass dictates a completely different set of calculations. A house facing 10 degrees north behaves entirely differently than a house facing 13 degrees north. In the classical system, space is an exacting, measurable data point. It requires professional instrumentation and strict mathematical rules to map correctly. The static 9-square grid used in pop culture ignores one of the most important variables in architecture, the building's age. Classical feng shui utilizes a method called Huin Kong Fi Ting, or the flying star system. This school of thought treats buildings as dynamic entities. Every structure has a specific birth date. This chart shows a Fi Ting Do, or a flying star chart. The energetic map of a building is calculated by taking its precise magnetic degree and intersecting it with the exact year its roof was enclosed, noted here as built in 1965. This intersection of space and time creates a 4-dimensional natal chart. The numbers in these grids represent distinct environmental influences that shift and redistribute on specific calculated cycles as decades pass. Because both magnetic alignment and historical time are constantly shifting, no two buildings can ever possess the exact same environmental fingerprint. Once a practitioner calculates a building's unique chart, the resultant application is highly practical. They use this data to organize physical space and human activity. There are no promises of sudden wealth or miracle cures for illness. The goal is simply to identify which areas of a structure naturally support concentration, rest, or high activity. Looking at this standard floor plan overlay, specific rooms are assigned their functions based on where the chart's favorable numbers pool. An active, prosperous sector becomes the obvious location for an office, while a quiet, stable sector is reserved for a bedroom. Fixing a building with negative energetic support is a matter of physical renovation, repositioning furniture, or reassigning which exterior door the family uses as their primary entrance. The entire process revolves around achieving physical harmony between our daily habits and the invisible structural forces of the environment. Stripped of its commercial myths, classical feng shui reveals itself as an open, systematic study of our surroundings. It requires only a compass, exact measurements, and an open mind to practice. The foundational requirement is acknowledging a simple reality. Human beings are not isolated from the spaces they inhabit. We react to and are shaped by our immediate environment. This logic follows a principle that gained scientific traction with Albert Einstein, that matter and energy are two forms of the same thing. To a practitioner, the walls and windows of a home are part of a dynamic energy field that fluctuates based on its alignment. True feng shui is a methodology for finding our most efficient, comfortable alignment within the precise dimensions of time and space.